All right, guys. So I know a few of us are still looking to retake that quiz from the 20th of January, going over slope and y-intercept. A lot of this now, you guys, if you look back at it, should be a lot easier because the first section of chapter 3 and the end of chapter 2, we didn't know how to graph in slope-intercept form, okay? So you were able to see, for number 1, your slope, 5y equals 1 half x minus 3. What's my slope in there? Well, you're probably saying 1 half. Okay, what's my y-intercept? Well, -3. We know how to graph this, but keep in mind, we didn't know how to find the slope and y-intercept when we went over this quiz, okay? So we went over a few things in class. We went over, at the time, how to plug in numbers for my x to get our y. So what ended up happening is when I put 1 half times 0 minus 3 in my calculator, I got -3, right? So I was just plugging these numbers into the equation. Y equals 1 half times 1 minus 3. Well, 1 half times 1 is 1 half, minus 3 is -2.5. If I plug in 2, 1 half times 2 minus 3 is going to be -2. If I plug in -3 into the calculator, 1 half times 3 minus 3, I'm going to get -1.5. Now, remember, at the time, we also talked about how you could clear a fraction. Since this bottom number is 2, some students may have chose different points for their x values. Some students may have chose numbers like 0, 2, and 4 because those are all multiples of 2. So by doing that, you're actually clearing the fraction and you don't have to worry about these fractions or these decimals. So if you use 0, 0 times 1 half is 0. 0 minus 3, your y value would be -3. If I plug in 2, I would get 1 half times 2 over 1 plus, or minus 3, sorry, and you would get -2. If you plugged in 4, you would get 1 half times 4 over 1 minus 3. And that would give you your y value. Well, you would get -1. So if I go in with my knowledge of slope-intercept form now, okay, I could start at -3 on my y. I would go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And these points that are down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2, that are on ordered pairs or as ordered pairs should all line up, all right? So really what you were doing was just plugging in these x values into this equation to figure out what your y was. But now this should be a little bit easier. You should be able to graph, and you should also be able to identify some of these points on the graph as ordered pairs. Either way, guys, this is going to be the table. You're going to find points on your graph based on your graphing skills now, and you should be able to label those ordered pairs as x and y. So let's try number 2. You know for number 2, your y-intercept is -2. Your slope is 2 or 2 over 1. So if I were to graph this, there's a couple ways you could do it. Now with your knowledge of graphing, you can put a spot at -2. You could go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. And you could label these points as ordered pairs. I know 0, -2 is my y-intercept. I see this point at 1, 0. I see another point at 2, 2. I see another point at 3, 4, right? You should be able to now take your line, make your line. Ms. Dursky, but what did we do a couple weeks ago when we were going over this? We put these x values into the equation and end up getting the y. So watch what ends up happening. I plug x in, 2 times 0 minus 2. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. If I plug this one in, 2 times 1 minus 2. Well, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. If I plug 2 in, 2 times 2 minus 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. These are all points that are on my graph. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 was -x minus 4. My slope, you know, is -x or -1. And your y-intercept, your freebie, is at -4. So now you should be able to go here, go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 to the right 1, right? And this is your slope. Can you identify those points as ordered pairs? Well, I know my y-intercept is 0, -4. My next ordered pair would be 1, -5. The next one would be 2, -6, 3, -7. All right, but remember, at the time, we didn't know how to do this. So what we did at the time was plug my x values in to find my y. So if I plug in 0, I would get y equals 0 minus 4. So y equals -4. Great, that was 1. If I plug in this 1, I would get y equals -1 minus 4. So y equals -5. Great, that was another point. For the third one, we would get y equals -2 minus 4, -6. So now this should be easier as we go back through if you want to do a retake, okay? For number 4, we have a line that goes through the origin at 0, 0, okay? We know it goes through the origin because it's proportional. My slope is 4. My y-intercept was 0. Some of you guys said I didn't have a y-intercept for this one. We have a y-intercept, right? It goes through the origin. So I'm going to go ahead from here and go up 4 to the right 1, up 4 to the right 1. The opposite of going up 4 is going down 4. The opposite of going to the right 1 is going to the left 1. So for this one, you can either plug in your points, your x values, to find your y values, or go through and list these as ordered pairs based on the graph. For me, I'll show you what we did when we didn't know how to do the rise over the run from y-intercept yet, right? So for this one, I get y equals 4 times 1. So when my x value is 1, my y value is 4, which makes sense because that's this ordered pair right here. If I plug in 2 to the equation, we get y equals 4 times 2, which is 8. For number 3, you'll get y equals 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, so this is the quiz from the 20th. There's 20 points. If you want to redo this, just need you to do test corrections. The answers are clearly here. So you're just going to write what you did incorrect. All right. And then I have a retake on my desk ready for you. Just let me know when you would like to take it, before school, after school, or study hall this week. All right. Hope this helps. Let me know how I can help.